On today's episode, we sit down with Chui Kyos. We discuss his personal history coming into hip hop and graffiti.
I grew well, I'm Puerto Rican, but I'm second generation. Like my parents were born and raised out there. Um well, my mom was born in New York, but she was raised in Puerto Rico. So I was born here and I kind of felt disconnected from even though I grew up, they told us that that was our first language, Spanish. I grew up kind of disconnected from it just because I wasn't from the island.
Right.
So I think that's what kind of made me into hip hop because it seemed like a culture that like kind of I was like attracted to, and I felt so disconnected from the Puerto Rican culture, even though I'm proud to be Puerto Rican, but
Right.
it's just you get the hazing because I'm not like I'm not speaking
You're not
Spanish
Puerto
as
Rican
good.
enough.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not Puerto Rican enough. So that was constantly like I was always being told like why do you act black or why do you act white? Like
it's hard though because like growing up, I mean, like in America, which is a melting pot, just like you're surrounded by. You're not. I mean, unless you grow up in a predominantly Latina neighborhood. I mean, you're surrounded by all types of kids. And maybe not everybody around you speaks Spanish. It'd be hard to,
yeah. Well, I guess because we were so sheltered and like I was around my cousins and the exposure that I got from I feel like friends that I wanted to be around, they a lot of them weren't Puerto Rican. They were either white or black or they would be Ricans like me that grew up out here that's being mostly English.
Mm-hmm.
So and everyone was into hip hop, so into rap and like I guess I got into that part of hip hop that was more like at the time I would call it underground.
Right.
I guess it's called like backpacker type rap.
Yeah. Boom bap stuff.
Yeah, because I liked all the mainstream stuff because I feel like Nas, the It Was Written album is what I could remember when I really started listening to it. Like,
Yeah.
and I remember my cousin had the cassette tape, and I don't know if you know the cassette tape, but it had all the lyrics on the,
Yeah.
and I like studied it, and I was just like, I thought it was so dope. I thought the way Nas rhymed was so dope, and then from that I started just getting into like Common, and then um like the Ruckus records and the Sound Bombing and
That was real backpacker stuff. Like they had a real movement for a while.
yeah.
Pharomonch, I think, was over there for a while. Eminem was over there.
Yeah, because he had a song on that Sound Bombing, and like I bought Sound Bombing with my own money. Like there were certain like because Camelot Music, I don't know if you knew about Camelot Music. Yeah, they had the singles, and then I remember getting a couple singles like Bring the Pain, Met the Man, the Takao. I had Cannabis, Second Round Knockout. I just certain ones that I remember like getting it, and then the Sound Bombing when I bought that, and Wu-Tang Forever. So it was kind of like I got into it around 96, like it was written, and then I went back and then when I got into breaking, that's when I went like super far back. Man, I was starting listening to older stuff.
Yeah.
And just getting into the history of things, like because I nerd out with like everything. Like if I get into it, I want to know everything about it and people's like story,
Where it came from.
yeah, what inspired them.
I think that's something that's missing from a lot of like modern hip hop heads is like, well, and even hip hop in general has this weird thing that like this like ageism, like I mean, every kid who picks up a guitar today is like, he's gonna learn about the Beatles. He's gonna learn about Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. And no one's like, oh, those guys are old. You don't listen to those guys, But like for some reason about hip hop, it's like we don't honor the ones that came before us. And then like so, like at that time, it's like you almost couldn't be in hip hop or contributed in some kind of way if you didn't have some kind of knowledge about the culture. Like, if you just want to show up and you want to get props and be a cool guy, Like they had this phrase "show and prove," you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like if you got skills, you know what I mean, demonstrate, you know.
Yeah.
And then like the cool thing is like if you did have skills, no matter what color you were, where you were from, if you showed that like, yo, I love this culture, I know where it came from, I know what it stands for, and I'm dope too, like the people would just bring you in, you
Yeah.
know. And I feel like you know, that's missing, you know. Then it's like
Yeah.
it was a good time, man. I miss that time. Hip hop was like, because I feel like we caught the good generation because like you know, the generation before us, like the Cool G Raps, the KRS Ones, the Rakims, like I had to go back too. But we caught like the next generation, you
Yeah.
know. So like everything was elevated. Like the rhymes weren't like, oh, with the ball, the day, you know, it's like getting more complex,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, and like I mean, it's like the pinnacle of rhyming, like the stuff that they like pun, you know, the stuff that he was doing then, or people like him were doing then. It's like it's like, how do you even top that, you know?
Yeah, they were like on another level,
Right.
and we caught it right when it was like,
Was to be at that age, like
Yeah.
as a teenager or something, like when you're in your formative years and hip hop is just like, and I even felt then like I felt kind of like you were, it's like this is my identity now because like I have a different story. I'm from the suburbs, and like being a white guy, you know, and catching this wave while it's in its infancy, it's like people in that neighborhood didn't understand it. We were dressing like Mobb Deep, you know, we had do-rags on
Yeah.
and bandanas, and like people out there were like, yo, what is happening?
Yeah.
You know, like even without the internet, which is like hard for people to even understand, but like,
Yeah.
so hip hop traveling from the Bronx, we're 4 hours away. For it to travel from there to here,
Yeah.
it took like years, you know? So like we were catching on to it when like people didn't, you know, now it's normal. The kids are like, everyone's in hip hop, you know?
Yeah.
At that time, it's like, we was like rebellious, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you're
yeah.
part of something that no one really understands. And it was a beautiful time for hip hop, rap, and all that kind of stuff.
It's funny because you said that like you kind of show and prove, and I remember this b-boy videotape that had this saying called "No easy props," and it's like if you like you got to show that you're a part of this, which is funny because I left like I felt disconnected from my culture because I felt like I was rejected. But it's like instead of proving myself in that, like I didn't. But I go to this other culture that's even harder to be a part of, and like you know, because like b-boy events, like that's when I felt like I got the most impact was from the b-boy culture, because it was like if you show up to a jam and you're whack, like you're gonna get called out, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like so you always had to roll up with a crew or like. Because you could get called out in any, and if you look bad in a battle, it's kind of like you look bad. So it was,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, one of those things where it's like, and I just like the thrill of that, or like going like I went to a jam and got embarrassed, and it made me want to practice more,
Right,
like
right.
you know what I mean, and get better, and like so it's like I kept coming out, even graffiti, like I felt intimidated, but I was still doing it. And I was still trying to like,
that's what love though. It's like where you can, you know, like take a L. Some people, that goes one of the two ways. Like some people take that L and are like, I'm done.
Yeah, flight or fight.
Yeah. Never touch it. Never touch a dance floor again. You know what I mean? Like it could just be one L, but and everybody got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, but you know, yeah. And then once you just have one good moment though,
Yo, it's the best
you like,
moment ever.
Yeah, man. It's like yeah,
it's like a high that carries you on. Cause even when we did like wall to wall this year, like me, you, and Ramon right by each other, that's a high that I'm still riding on. Like I love that freaking the way we came up with it, and like even like how we all showed up, and And I was even messing with stuff, and I was just like, I'm gonna wait till these guys get here. And I felt like y'all being there just like it made me, because when I was putting the colors, I was like, man, what am I doing?
Like think too much.
Yeah, and then y'all came, and then we were just figuring it out. And then there was a color I used. You were like, what color is that? And it wasn't a color that we first picked. And I was just like, oh, this is a lighter version. And then he was just like, oh, give me that. And then he added that to his, and it was just like,
I love that. I
was
love
awesome.
that kind of like bouncing energy.
yeah,
Like you can, it doesn't matter really what it is. Like if you draw, you can sit and draw in a room by yourself, headphones on. But like I noticed even working in the tattoo shop, it's like being in a crew where you're like sitting down, everyone's drawing together and stuff. And you're like
yeah,
talking, maybe you're talking about what you're drawing. Oh, it'd be sick if you did this. Like,
yeah,
and even you just get other ideas that you wouldn't think of. Like even
Yeah.
like you said, being out there painting and being like, oh, what if we did this color? Oh shit, I didn't even think of that.
yeah.
You know?
And that's what, and having that humble energy too. Because I've been around like people that are kind of cocky, and they kind of like shut me off. Like, but when there's like a mutual like energy, and y'all all want to just do a dope piece, and you're listening to each other, like that's
There's no
what's
egos. Yeah, it's
yeah,
beautiful. Yeah, because it's like I don't care who comes up with the dopest idea. I want the dopest idea. So
yeah,
I don't care who it comes from. It's like, and I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, that's beautiful when it happens and everything just kind of comes together and
yeah.
the chemistry,
Chemistry is good. Yeah.
So going back to breaking, how do you even get into that? Are friends breaking around you?
Oh man. Yeah.
Like, are you watching videos? Because like I was always obsessed with that. Like, it's breaking is like one of the elements that I couldn't really like get into, and I could feel it. Like I want to do it, but like nobody around me was breaking. So I'm like, I don't even know how to even really start getting into this, or like what's the basic moves everybody
Yeah.
starts learning when you get into it. Whereas
That's the crazy thing, because we had no. I mean, later on we got some OGs, because we got around some people. This crew from Baltimore kind of took us under their wing. But before that, the fact that I got into that is kind of like, what the heck? Because it's like no one was doing it in York, and I had a friend. Like I'll tell you the exact story. I was at York High, and I had a friend, this guy that came from Dominican Republic, and he came to York, and we were hanging around all the time. And he showed up at lunch with this old New York City. Was it New York? Yeah, New York City Breakers had this instructional book, and it was like Flashdance. Like it was like from the 80s. It was like a weird book, because it was long. It was like rectangular. It was long, and it showed you. It was a step-by-step breakdown of the moves. So he had that book, and I've always loved breaking. Like even my mother, like I remember she would do little things for me, and I remember she recorded breaking for me on VHS, because I love seeing, and she knew that, and she recorded it for me so I could watch it whenever. And so he had this book, and then one day he's like talking about it, and we're all looking at it. And then one day he's like, yo, we used to have this snack like line at York High where you could get Rice Krispie treats and cookies. And he was just like, yo, let me get money for a Rice Krispie treat. And I was like, man, get out of here. And then he was just like, I'll give you this breaking book. And I was just like, okay. And I gave him the money. I gave him the money so he could get that. And because I really wanted that book. Like when he was watching, I was fronting like I was just like, yo, this book is dope, yo. Like it shows you how to do the move.
Yeah.
Because the windmill that's the move that everyone wanted to do.
Right.
So we were at the time, my brother was part of the Spanish Center's basketball team, like city league games that they used to have at Grimes Gym, and everyone from the city went. It was just like a thing where like everyone was there. They would have fights, like it was crazy.
Yeah.
But it was just dope to go. And they would have this practice at Hennepin, and so I went to the practice, and I still had that book, and I had a bunch of friends, and we're all like, yo, let's learn these moves. And we start learning, and then all of a sudden we're like practicing every day. and we come up with a crew called Rican Moves. Like that was my first, like, it was just a bunch of us. But then we met this guy. This guy saw us doing it, and he was just like, my cousin, he talks Spanish. He was like, my cousin does this. He's a dancer for a reggaeton artist, like, which a reggaeton was like starting to be bigger now, like in the US or whatever. Or at least it was to them. But for me, I was being introduced to it.
Right.
Because, you know, I grew up out here, so I don't know what's going on in PR. And this guy came and he kept saying like he could dance. And I'm just like, well, let's see. And then one day we're at York High and he didn't want to dance. And I was just like, man, he don't know nothing. And then he took us outside and this guy started doing he was doing the windmill, he was doing flares, which is they're just like acrobatic moves. And he was doing it in front of us. And we were just like, that was the first time us seeing it in person. And we were just like, teach us. Like we're all like, please teach us, master. Like we were just like, and he would like come out with us and just show us a little bit. But then he went back to PR, but that like lit a match. And then from there, I just kept practicing and started meeting different people. Went to my first competition, got smoked. But then the people that actually beat us for our first battle, they actually took us under their wing. And we started hanging out in Baltimore. And they put us on to hip hop that we didn't know about.
I remember you telling me about this. Like it was like you thought breakdancing was one thing, and then you went there.
Oh,
and you were like, "What are they doing?"
Yo, it was like a coach. It was like a shot. Like we were just like, we suck. Like this is going on and we don't know it. Like because DMV, which is DC, Maryland, Virginia, they had a scene that was like really big. And people from Philly, from Jersey would come to the Baltimore and to DC to jams. And it would be it would be these huge competitions. And we got to know certain people and hung out with them. And we were just like, from there, when we went to our first competition, that's when we really like, we turned it up and we were like locked in. And we were like practicing and we were hanging out with them all the time. And they were putting us on to all kinds of hip hop. They all did graffiti. They all were like train writers and they break, they rap. Like we would hang out with them.
Elements.
They will freestyle. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had one guy that was a DJ from the crew. And it was like, and we got down with their crew, but they put us on to a lot of hip hop like that we didn't know about.
One thing I always wonder, like when I see people dancing in like competitions or whatever, like how much of it, like, is it improvised? Like, has these people like dance so much and they know so many moves that once they get out there, they're just feeling the music and they just start throwing the moves together, like improvising in that way? Or is they've practiced kind of like a routine? Like I know when I go into this move, I'm gonna go into this move. Like when I watch some people, I'm like, how much of this is like off the cuff? Like some of it's like clearly they know the song. Like this person either is really, really good that they know just instinctively when the music's gonna have a moment.
Yeah.
Or they know the song and they react to the song. Like how much of that is like improv and how much of it is like,
well, you have to you can like you could think about the beat and how like you could see the pattern of the beat and see when to like hit certain beats,
right?
Which is like a dancer's musicality. Like if they have really good musicality, they can hear the beat.
You know, but every like 4-8 bars or something, there's gonna be something.
Like sometimes you don't have to know the song, but it is a kind of a culture where like everyone knows the music.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like you can just see how everybody reacts. Like, and they know when the moments are coming too. You know?
But it's crazy because the b-boys, there's so many elements that it seemed like it's the same thing. Where like the DJing element, like I remember being at a jam with a DJ, and I noticed every time a beat came on, he would be like, which b-boys they do the biting. Like if they go like that, that means that someone's copying them. And I remember this one DJ was just like, you're like that. I started playing that song. And like us b-boys, we just want to know the beat. Like, and we're all like gravitating towards the certain beats. But DJs, I didn't know DJs be beefing with each other when certain DJs play certain songs, and like another person is playing that song. It's like, yo, that's a song I be playing. Like I didn't know about that culture.
Wow.
Which is like with it seemed like every element, like I see a parallel with all the elements. Cause like you were saying that I'm kind of all over the place, but when you were saying about that are they improvising? Like I see it as like there's some that write their whole set and they'll call you out. Like if you seem too calculated, they'll do like a writing thing, like you wrote this out. But
Like a thing you'll see people
yeah,
doing that.
they'll do this like the hand
See,
gesture.
this is like a whole nother culture to me that like
Yeah, but it's like I was the type I like to be prepared. Like cuz I gotten better with my graph when I started sketching and started doing the exact sketches. But it seemed like you get to a point where you've done so many that you don't need a sketchbook. So I think
you're gonna
that's
do the
how-
same thing on a train or with
Yeah.
all that you would do on paper, which is like if your instinct is to start with like a block
Yeah.
E and then add your stuff on. I mean, on paper, you would do the same thing. On
And
wall.
you kind of learn to improvise, but it's rooted in like the practice. Like you learn to improvise with breaking, but it's rooted in you learning sets, and then you start to you're so good at it that you start to blend it in. Because when you see these breakers, they're doing the same thing, but they're mixing it up, and then they're throwing it to a beat a certain way that is improvised.
Right.
Like they're not just making that up right on the spot.
Like it's moves that they know.
Yeah, but there are people that they just I've seen there's very few people that they're just really good under pressure. Like my one friend Anton, he was like the best, like, and he's from York, and people probably from Central PA probably feel some type of way, but he's the best b-boy out of this area, and he's from York. Like, and he was the best, yo. Like he would come up with moves. Like we did well, I wasn't there, but they did a Talib Kweli show. Like he came to Baltimore, and I guess they were paid to dance for him. And it was us. We used to link up with this other crew called Fusion Force from Baltimore, and he did like this spinning like handstand, like it's called a 1990, but he hit that he spun and then landed in a free like from the top, landed down into this freeze and faced the crowd, and everyone went nuts. And I've never seen him do that before.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of stuff that he'll do in front of me. I'm like, where did that come from? And he's just like, I don't know, I was just feeling it. And it's like
Because
yo.
like going back to what you said, like, and I was talking about this before with someone where like, and this translates to a bunch of mediums, whether you're painting or tattooing, singing, whatever. But it makes me think of jazz, where like you have to know the foundation. You have to know the rules in order to break the rules. If you just go and break the rules, but you don't know the foundation, you just don't know how to play. You're just mashing notes.
Yeah.
But if you know the foundation and you decide to play around it, and it's intentionally, it's like you can't do that without knowing the foundation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so just like you were saying with dancing, it's like these guys learn the foundation of everything, and then they're able to like break that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's a good thing about having a solid foundation, because when you hit like creative blocks or when certain stuff happen at the level you're at, you can always backtrack back to that and be re-inspired. Like, because I've noticed that with everything that I've like.
Sometimes you have to go back to the foundation.
Yeah, and rebuild yourself, but you're building from like if you have a shaky foundation, like I feel like you're like you get only people that like I feel like the OGs in a certain genre can notice like man, they have a shaky foundation. Like it's so easy to spot. You know what I mean? Like
To the average person, they don't.
they don't, and they could get praised. They could be someone that's just like they're just popular. Like they just have that charisma that they could get away with it. But I feel like they're like hip hop as crazy as it may seem to other people, like it's really structured, like to me, because it's like you got people that like are doing breaking that can just say these small things. Like I was just talking to a friend today. Like we were talking about our one friend that like all I did was tell him like to do a 6-step, but do it like continuously, and he couldn't do it. And I was telling them how like you see that's why you get stuck. I was like, because you don't have you can't even 6-step.
Can't go back to that.
And he's doing all these crazy handstands because he's so strong. And I'm like, you got all those handstands, all those dynamic moves, but it's like big move, big move, big move. Like there's no story. Like I'm like, you need to go back to that. And then he actually at first he seemed kind of down, like I like crushed him. And I felt kind of bad, but then all of a sudden later he told me, he was like, hey, Chui, check this out. And then he did like a whole routine, and it was from him just going back to basics. And it's like if one thing that I like, this newer generation of b-boys that I hung around, one thing I could take away from it is that like I kind of like restructured them. Like I'll take that. I won't say that like, oh, I taught them, because some people like to say that because I'm the older one. They'll be like, oh, Chewy taught them. Like I didn't teach them, but I did help them with like to just go back to certain foundations, or like I'll make suggestions because I could see it from a older point of view,
Right.
of like doing it for like so many years, even though I don't feel like I was even that good, but just like because I was doing it for so long, you know. Because I feel like that with graffiti, I don't think I'm like a beast, but someone coming up, I could give them a lot of tips, like you know what I mean, or like just help them out with like little things, like, you know.
Right. Foundational stuff.
Yeah.
So let's go back to like the beginning of graph. So like what kind of introduction do you have to graph? Like do you remember where you get your first real exposure? I heard you say that like some of those guys that you were breaking with were also writing graffiti. Is that like your first introduction? Like where do you get the idea that like I kind of want to do that too?
The funny thing about the guys in graffiti that they were doing trains, they were doing it before I met them. And they kind of like, I never went with them. I just knew that they were doing that they did it. Yeah. So it was more, and I was more gravitating towards their breaking. Like I was inspired more, and we were around them for their breaking. We never like did graffiti. Like graffiti wasn't even a thing. And it's funny because we actually, like we told them that we did graffiti, and they kind of like laughed at us, like whatever. Like they just totally disregarded it. They probably won't remember, but I remember certain conversations, and they were just like, whatever, man. Like, yeah, like,
Cool
okay,
story, bro.
York guy. But my first introduction, but I did show them a lot of my stuff. Like when I got more serious about it, I remember I showed the one, he's like a leader in the crew, and he was just like, yo, like that's dope. Like, so it was cool getting like the props from him. But that came later on. But my first influence was the Graphics on the Source magazine.
That's
because I just remember like keeping them.
oh yeah, I would cut them out too.
Yeah, and just like
I would copy letters off of them.
Yeah, just copy. Like there was someone named Omega that like I just love. I remember they did their 3D from the side, and that just blew my mind. Like I was just, oh, he did it sideways. Like I thought that was amazing. And I had a friend even that like he would like cut them out for me because I was a punk. I ain't want to like just rip them out of the magazine.
You were like, oh shit, you got the new source.
But I wanted it so bad. And I had a cousin, my one cousin and she's a girl, and she's like not hip hop at all. But my uncles because my mother's side, they're all born in New York. And like Puerto Ricans have just this connection with New York because they had like some, like, I think tickets to New York were like super like dirt cheap to get like Puerto Ricans into New York.
Every Puerto Rican I know is from New York.
Yeah, they all.
Bronx.
Yeah.
They're from the Bronx.
No, well, my cousins are from the Bronx. My mom was born in Manhattan,
Okay.
but she don't remember. They don't remember. And then my uncles were born in Brooklyn, and my grandfather, I know he used to go almost every weekend. Like he always had something in his house that he got from New York.
Like
Cause
the composes.
yeah, they're all from New York, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's like a lot of, and then my older cousins, they were the first group that came from Puerto Rico. So they, like, both my mom and my dad went to New York first and then went to York.
Okay.
So I got older cousins on my my dad's side that they were born in New York. Whereas my mom, she was born there, but she went from there and then went to New York and then came to York.
Gotcha.
So it's weird that they both like had this, like, they traveled through New York to
Right.
get here. But man, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, like the graffiti, I guess I was talking about, the graphics. I don't know how I got on that.
You was about to tell me about a girl.
Oh, my cousin. So my cousin, we had this, she's from my mom's side. They're always going to New York. So she always had that New York influence. And she gave me all her hip hop magazines. Like she had like a bunch of XXL Source magazines. And like,
Man, I miss them shits, man.
she
People
gave
don't
me,
understand.
yeah,
man.
she would collect them. That's when I first heard of MF Doom. And that was years ago. That was like, because people are into Doom now, and I was just like, man, that's dope that they're into Doom. But I remember there was an article in XXL where it was explaining like that he wore the mask. I was like, yo, who is this dude? And he was like talking about his brother, how his brother died because they had that KMD group.
Yeah.
And I heard about him, and it was like, I just remember him from that article. And then later on, I had C. Ray's Walls.
Mm-hmm.
I had
Philly, right?
No, I think he's from New York.
Is he?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. But
I don't know why I thought he was from Philly.
he he had an album called The Substance. And
What happened to that guy? Because he was
I
dope.
don't know. Yeah. When we first heard of him, these guys went to Rocksteady. The guys I was bringing with from York, they went to Rocksteady, and he was in the MC battle. Him, Immortal Technique, I think Breeze Ever Flowing, and maybe Breezy Brewing, but Idea won it. And that's the year that they all went. And then they started telling, like, they came down and told us about Immortal Technique, and that's how we found out about it. But we found out about C. Ray's Walls too, and I had that album, and I remember Doom was on the one track, the lineup, and it had Thurston Howell and like all those guys. I started getting into them.
Thurston Howell.
Yeah. Slava rank.
Yeah, he used to trip me out.
Yeah, he got.
I still have one of those albums.
Oh yeah,
Skilligan's Island.
Yeah, that was the dope one.
Yeah, man, that guy.
Yeah, Puerto Rican on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the type of hip hop I was really into. Like we just got more and more into that, and Cannibal Ox and
the battle stuff.
Yeah, that like the early battle stuff. Not really this like smack culture.
Yeah. I mean,
even though I watch it and I like it
too. I just like part of battling to me involves like flow. So like that means like how you ride the beat. So like a lot of these guys can write their stuff, and they don't have to write it to a beat, and it's like all drawn out and dramatic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got respect for it,
Yeah.
but like I just remember when battling was like you had to do it on beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like so yeah, I mean, kids, man, I just don't remember. I mean, I wish I could just capture that time in a bottle. Like,
Yeah.
man, I was just so full of fire, dude. Like, I just remember like going, like new releases came out on Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like The Wall, you know, like the CD singles, especially like everybody, like, so you guys were breaking, right? Like my crew was like, we were MCs. So like we would go and buy the CD singles because they would have the instrumental on there. And then we got a bunch of stuff to
that
rhyme
was dope
to.
when they had the instrumental.
Yeah,
you could
kids don't
freestyle
even
with
know
it.
about that because you get the beat to the joint, There's some shit that we just played out. Like played so much, like I don't even want to hear that beat right now. We just rapped the shit out of that.
You know what beat I just heard that I forgot how dope it was? OC's Time's Up. You lack the vitamins and minerals.
Yeah.
Like that joint was so dope.
He's dope too, man. Everybody over at the
DICC, yeah. Showbiz and AG.
Yeah, all the
Big L.
guys.
Yeah. That's dope.
So let's go back to writer's block. Now we will at some point have Mr. Red One on here to talk about his origins and how he came to be and how writer's block became a thing, because that's something that you and I have in common. Probably is the most formative thing in probably both of our graffiti backgrounds. I think it's something that like put the battery in both of our backs at that time. I mean, I know you were interested in it, but why don't you talk about writer's block and maybe like how you got introduced? And
Writer's block was like me going to my first b-boy jam. Like humbling, but it just lit a fire in me. But you said that you didn't remember, but I remember going to the Galleria Mall, seeing you and Mike together. And of course, every time I see Mike, I'm saying, what's up? And then you were just like, you gave me like a flyer or something. Did y'all have a flyer? You gave me something.
Was it for an art show?
I don't know if it was for
that. Might have been after,
because I first came. Yeah, you maybe I missed the first, because I think y'all did have an art show.
Him and I had an art show together where we got little like 5x7 flyers made up with like a little spray can and like the time and date.
Then you must have been promoting it, and then you like, because me and you, we weren't that cool, and you were just,
I knew you through Mike.
Yeah, and you just showed me. I just remember you being a dope MC. Because when you did that jam out west, like you performed and we were breaking at that jam, and we were all like, yo, that dude is nice. Like we were like your fans. Like we were.
I didn't even think you guys were from York, because I'm like, the breaker crew from York?
From York.
We got those?
Yeah. That was when I had braids too. My hair braided.
Damn, I don't even remember.
Yeah, I had my hair braided. But so I saw you at the Galleria and you told me about it, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to this. And I'm not proud of this, but I showed up with some Walmart paint. And I remember Caleb, like he was the first person I saw. He was like, yeah, man. Like he was telling me about it. And then he saw the paint that I brought. And I guess he was excited, like, oh, a writer. And then he saw the paint and he was just like, oh man, this guy ain't no writer.
Well, he was on everything before any of us.
Yeah, he was.
I'm still trying to get him back out, man.
He just has such a unique style though, too.
He was like, yeah, he wasn't a follower. Like,
yeah, he had his own lane.
He didn't give a shit probably what anybody else was doing as far as their letter style or even like where they painted. Or...
No, if we were to compare like Wu-Tang members with writer's block, I would call Red One RZA. I call you Inspector Deck. Okay. And I would call him ODB. Because he had that, like, every time he did his name, it was such a crazy style. Like, I was just like, yo,
yeah, where do you get that?
Sick. Yeah.
It's like he wasn't seeing it somewhere else and kind of like imitating.
Yeah. Like yours was like super clean and sharp. And like, I was just like, when I seen the strike that you did on the wall, the burgundy looking one, and I just saw all the turns, in my head, like you showed me the picture and I was just like, oh, that's dope. But I don't know why in my head, I couldn't comprehend it. Like to me, I couldn't even read your name. Like I was just like, yo, what is this? Like maybe because it was so big and I was overwhelmed, but I was just like, what the heck is this? Like this dude is going in, like, because it looked like
me 4 days to paint.
I remember Ramon was just like, I was telling her, like, yo, that thing is dope. He was like, yeah, it's taking forever. I started laughing. Like,
I had no, I still, I didn't really know what I was doing then either. I mean, I just was like,
That was
I
crazy.
think it's you know what? And I would say I'm thinking about tattooing now, where it's just like, which I want to start by saying, like, when people say, "Oh, you're so talented," that shit kind of pisses me off because I didn't pop out of my mom with a spray can.
Yeah,
or a
you worked hard for it.
paintbrush. It's. I'm in my 40s, man, and I want this. I've wanted this.
Yeah.
So it's like you're just like wiping over years of hard work and dedication
Yeah.
to just make it seem like it's magic. It's
Yeah.
not magic,
Yeah.
you know. But I think about tattooing like 3/4 through the piece, it looks like shit. It's the same with my graffiti pieces. I'm sloppy when I paint, you know? But like 3/4 through, it's like, oh, that's not where I want it. This ain't, you know? There's potential for it to go very wrong, especially more on a tattoo because, you know.
I think I'm starting to see that now, like you explaining that. Because at first, I just felt like like I guess I gravitated more towards you though. Like even though I loved like Caleb and Ramon, but I gravitated because I saw how much of a perfectionist you were, and I was like, man, I want to be like him. Like I want every line to be perfect because I saw you that way. But then when you started talking about, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, you're not. You're like the cleanest artist I ever seen. But then I seen your process. And I'm like, oh, I see how because you were doing the train letters and you did start out sloppy and then you're like cleaning it up.
Right.
Like even like the one we did at the wall, like it had this very like almost basic style, but then you started adding these little details and I'm like, dang, it's in the details, yo. Like this dude just cleans it up like so nice. Like, you know what I mean?
But that doesn't happen till like
it's
75%, 80% mark, where it's like, oh man, this could be real whack. It could be real whack. But then you just do a couple little things, and this again goes back to foundation, you know. And then like because I dabble in other mediums, I also pull skills from other places, you know, like tattooing in black and gray for years has taught me like contrast. So I can even pull that over to color work, like doing a character on the wall where it's like, oh, I know the highlight on this character is going to be real bright. So I want the background to contrast with that, you know, and just pulling skills from other mediums. That's why I think it's important too to dabble in other things. And like, yo, the funniest thing is like when I started doing like graffiti on canvases and stuff, when my mom got me thinking like, oh, I can put a piece on canvas, I can sell these and stuff like that. Like, yo, I would never touch a paintbrush. It was like probably a few years where I was just like paint markers only because I just was like so intimidated by a brush.
Yeah, and mixing colors.
I'm like, I just want it here and use it like a pen. My work is done. You know,
no mixing.
No, I don't have to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm like, man, there's nothing I love more than like all the brushes. I got a handful of like brushes where I'm like, oh, I'll spend a little extra money and get a good brush. Almost everything else is like a shit brush. And I love that because it makes me think about graffiti too. It's like you don't have access. The whole reason that graffiti exists is because these guys didn't have access to fucking art supplies and a fucking a degree and art history and shit like that. And they're like, I still got shit I want to make and I want to do. I'm gonna get the materials, however.
I'm gonna steal that shit.
Yeah. I mean, racking is not really a part of our culture, but but
but it's just so great that like that came out of that. Like all those artists, if they would have just been given if they would have just been more art programs just in the Bronx, like maybe that it wouldn't the graffiti culture would have never existed.
Yeah.
But it came out of like such poverty because I got a roommate that's from the Bronx. And like the stories he tells me is like crazy. And just the documentaries you see, it was like a war
BX
zone.
was like a war zone, like
Yeah.
Germany, World War II.
Yeah, it was like third world country,
Yeah.
like bricks
Yeah.
everywhere, like the Rubble Kings
Yeah.
freaking documentary. But what came out of that, like, was just so crazy. Like,
It's a worldwide art form. And that, you know what I love about graffiti is that like it's like, yeah, like it's people have taken it commercial places, like they use it in commercials and this and that. But like I'm still learning now, even in my 40s, it's like it's still one of the elements that kind of is like no one's really messing with it. Like it's still kind of left alone.
Yeah.
You know, they can try to commercialize it, but the whole point of it is, it's like, and this is why you have to, these are guys that love this culture so much that they'll say, I dedicate my life to it, and no one might not ever even know who the fuck I am. Except the people who know, you know, like even just like, you know, and you know, because you and I both kind of got into the freight culture like more recently, kind of later. But just now learning like names in freight culture, like you know, certain guys are Ick or Macros, like these guys are fucking everywhere.
or even like I showed my piece to a couple people and they're like, oh, dope hopper. I don't know what that means. Like I didn't know he was talking about the specific train.
Yeah.
Like they know specific trains, like
The reefers.
Yeah, and then this guy's like, oh yeah, that's Norfolk Southern. Like they go to, and I'm just like, yo.
Bro, it makes, but see, that's what's like exciting to me because I feel like, you know, I started feeling, I won't say I feel like an OG, but like on walls and in York, I'm like, man, I've done everything I can do skill wise, you know, like I don't gotta be famous, but and I get props from the other people painting in my city, and that's like enough sometimes. But then I'm like, I don't know shit.
Yeah,
I don't know shit, man. I'm like,
that's how I feel.
Yo, I'm like hanging with Ugly. I'm like, I'm a fucking baby. I'm a baby, man. And I'm like, and even like it just chills my ego out a little bit too, because I'm like, I'm talented on walls and I know where my skill level's at. But I'm like, I go out with Ugly and like, I can't paint straight letters, man. I'm like, I got all this crazy shit happening in my piece. But that don't mean shit on a train that's rolling by where someone's gonna see it for 10 seconds.
Bro,
They might be sitting at a train stop and they got 10 or 15 seconds to see a piece and go, oh shit, there goes to this person, there goes to that person, or they're snapping flicks. They only got this little bit of time. Yeah. So you got this crazy piece, there goes a bunch of arrows. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so
it exposes you. Like I thought, like you don't see how late to the evolution you got. Like, cause you hear these, like I was with two guys and they were like, they said something like, if you can't pay with Rustos, you better hang it up. And I was just in my head, man, I hate Rustos. Like, and it's like, but it's like something you learn a skill that is like, then you really see the can control that certain people have. Like, cause when you, like when I was in boxing, I used to have weighted gloves. And when I was hitting the bag with the weighted gloves, like it was painful, but man, when I would take them off and I would spar with the regular gloves, it felt like my hands were fast.
Like concrete.
Yeah, like, so it's like, you should learn with Rustos and learn to not let it drip and learn to get certain edges so that once you get to that, you're doing like, you know, your can control goes to another level.
Right.
Which I could see the being older and being a part of different other things that you can apply to it. Like I could see the value in that. But then it's also humbling. Like I could see how much like you were saying, how much you don't know.
Right.
And you're learning and you know, I kind of blame it on being from a small town. Like if I was probably from New York, it'd probably be different. Cause I learned how to tag in high school from a friend from Queens. And he was all about tagging, and he's the one that started, like, he was telling me like, and he was harsh, but he was my friend. Like he would just be like, hey man, why you always tag like in a box? Like, and I didn't realize that like my letters were very like straight and like, and he was just like, man, let them like he said something like just let it like breathe almost. Like, and then I saw the way he was like to this day, I do an arrow that he taught me, and I still do it in my tag, like because he taught me how to do it. Like I was looking off of his, and he don't draw, he just tags, and he just showed me how he learned to tag in Queens, and it was just like, so I gotta credit him for my style, like, cause I just like fell in love with it, and that's when I started like appreciating tagging, cause he would see me do these, like I would sketch, and he would see me do these, even the terms, like I didn't know the terms, like I was just copying off of graphics and coming up with my own style from like all those things, and he was just like, oh, that's a dope burner. And I was just like, I didn't tell him at the time. Like I didn't know it was a burner. Yeah, I was just like, thanks, thank you, friend. And he was just like, so what's your tag like? And then he was like, oh man, like almost like he gave me that like, dang, that joint is whack. Like, and then he was showing me his and the different styles he would do, different arrows he would do, and like, it was dope. Like. And he became my best, like a really good friend of mine, and he's even my son's godfather, because he just knows so much. Like, but yeah, he was my New York connection.
It's almost like a trade or something, like plumbing or something, you know, where you have like an older guy an older person who sees some potential in you, and then like take you under their wing, and like, you know, they could crush you. You know, they could just be like, nah, you're not ready to go. You know what I mean? Now they're going back to like Knots hearing us rhyme. He could have been like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
you guys are from Mount Wolf, man. Hang it up.
There's those people that just come in your life, and like the guys from Deadly Venom's crew, like they just, I don't know why, they just took us under our wing. And they told us,
it gotta be that they see something, because like I said, I mean, if you gotta see that, like, oh, this person's gonna go on to like represent us, you know what I mean? Because if y'all, you know, if I thought some guy was whack, you know, whatever, keep practicing, you know what I mean? But if I had someone who like showed some interest, a younger person, you know, like it happened all the time when people coming in saying like, oh, I want to learn to tattoo, and be like, right out of the gate, I would be like, if you're not happy, if you don't want to draw every fucking day and redraw and redraw and redraw, forget it. Forget it, you know? But I could kind of tell, you know, you can kind of tell who's hungry and who's not, who's just talking out of their ass or whatever. But yeah, like having, you know, and Ramon is that kind of person too, where, you know, now part of him, he would have taken in anybody who would have needed some mentoring at that time, you know, but you and I were like the fucking older, we were like we weren't even really kids. I feel like I was probably like 20 or in my early 20s.
Yeah, Zion was one
when I met
so
him.
I was like 24, 25.
Okay, yeah, I was probably in my early 20s.
And he didn't like per se taught me either. He just was there, and he provided he facilitated the spot, because he was just like, yeah, just take the board.
I mean, he didn't
outside and take whatever cans you want from that shelf. And and then he would like give tips, and it was just like, just that little bit that he did just made a huge I remember I bought a bunch of cans, and I didn't know what I was buying. Someone wanted a mural, and I bought high pressure cans, not knowing. Like I didn't know what I was doing. And I tried it, and I'm just like, man, this is spraying everywhere. Like I was just like overspray like crazy. And I did a piece, and I showed him, and he was just like he kind of was just like, and then he was just like, what happened? And I was just like, I don't know. And I brought him the can, and then he started laughing. He was just like, oh, that's high pressure. He was like, you should get low pressure. It was like, it's easier. And I was just like, oh. And then
maybe some Montana or something.
Yeah, well, he gave me a cap. He was like, just use this cap, and just, you know, you got to be fast with. And then I did another piece with that cap. And it was just like, that's the piece that I showed my friend from Baltimore. He was just like, yo, I did this like love piece, and it came out like super dope. And it was just because he just gave me a cap. And he was just like, I remember y'all had that tattoo shop on George, I think it was.
Yeah, yep, South George.
And then I went downstairs. Did he do the Magneto?
I did the Magneto.
I went down there, and I was just like, why am I painting? was just
I mean, I didn't make that up. I just copied it out of like a comic page.
I
but-
mean, it looked so dope though.
But
It was
yeah.
like I was just like, what is that? And then he gave me a cap. And I think he just gave me one cap or a few. And I did the rest of that mural. Like I did characters with that cap, and the characters came out.
I'm wearing the cap out.
Oh yeah, I did everything, and then everything came out good except for that one first piece that I did that I kept up. And like, if I were to do it all over again, I probably would have went over that.
Yeah, I remember going in there and him. I mean, I think at that time, I was already doing Krylon and stuff, but I showed him pics of stuff I was doing, and he gave me two. He gave me a blue and a yellow, a Montana gold, and was like, "Go take this home." And I don't know. That night, I paid like 2 throwies that night. I mean, I lived in the burbs, so I wasn't trying to get crazy, but
Yeah.
I put like 2 throw-ups up that night. I was like, it's fucking game over, man.
Yeah, it's so
And I got decent enough. I mean, painting on like cinder block or concrete with Krylon is not easy, but it's not like painting on a wall with Krylon, it just concrete just soaks it up. But
Yeah.
but I was like decent with Krylon. So once he gave me Montana, and I'm like, oh man, you can actually like move your arm a little bit slower, and I can get all these crazy drips. Like, man, it's a wrap, dude. I didn't even know that stuff existed. You know what I mean? I was like, I would ride up to the dollar store and get the 99-cent cans, a bag of black, a couple greens, like whatever colors that they would have, which would be like 4 or 5 colors of like the most garbage paint. Probably shouldn't have been breathing that stuff in, but if you get decent with Rusto or Krylon stuff, man, you pick up a German outline cap on a can of Montana or
Those
something.
are my favorite. Those gray German outline.
Yeah, man, they're like my favorite.
Yeah.
But now I gotta rethink everything, because if I'm out there touching the freights, me and Ugly went out one day, and like I finished my piece and he's still painting, because I had a couple fats. I don't typically mess with fats because I'm always doing murals. I got everything on these tiny detail caps. Finished this piece, I'm watching him paint. I just jump back on there, clean some stuff up. He's like, already? He's like, man. He's like, next year, he wants to hit 300 next year.
300.
He's like, we could hit 300 trains next year. He's like, go out one day, hit 3, 4 trains at a time. But I'm like, last time I went, it got a little spooky because there's no leaves on the trees, so you could see all the way back there.
Yeah, now that the leaves are gone.
I walked back there by myself.
Yeah, there's a spot, there's a bridge in Harrisburg on my way to work that Neos hit. You can see Honor and Neos, and when it's the summer, you can't see it. But winter comes and all those leaves, and then you can see it on the way. But it's like during the summer, it's hidden. Like you can't see the highway. But I could see why but he got a dope Neos piece.
Yeah, he kills shit too. I want to sit down with all those guys and pick their brains. I'm not sure what your time limit is.
Yeah, I'm about to head out soon.
Okay. Well,
One more question, or
yeah, it's a couple other things I definitely want to ask. Are there places where graffiti doesn't belong? Are there things that are off limits? We'll get into it.
yeah.
But that's a good start.